Thanks to the support as a channel member, Mark G1701. Yeah, I just thought I should check that this transfer budget's right. You've not, it's not a transposing error. Is that a thing? You've not put a couple too many zeros. You mean we have a transfer budget of over £1 million? And you're comfortable with me spending over £1 million on teenagers? I mean, you asked for what's about to happen. Hello and welcome to part 31 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and transfer special following on from our historic promotion to the Football League and the probably even more historic revelation that we've had our wage budget doubled and been given a £1 million transfer budget. And we have played for our last couple of games of the season since the last episode. We lost on the final day to Stockport, which is nice. But more importantly, we've gone through, why is that not the first team? You can see I've really gone through this squad. I've gone through and we have been renewing contracts. We're now a full-time professional club. So we've gone through and offered full-time professional contracts. You can see Harrison Davies as an example of someone who's signed a new 5-year deal on nearly £1,000 a week. But we can afford it now. Everyone that we want to keep has had a contract extension. They've been changed to full-time. That is the most important part of the summer done already, because obviously we're developing these young players. We need the ones who are now starting to get a little bit older. I'm looking at Captain Cartwheel, Oliver Wright. I'm looking at the likes of Davies and Cisse, Whittaker, Beerith. These are the players who do need to stick around long-term, even though normally in a more traditional save, certainly someone like, I don't know, Terrell Whittaker, he's been here 3 years. He's supposed to be a striker. He's only scored 9 goals. I know I've played him out wide, but he's averaged a 6.89 over 100 games. He'd be moving on in a normal save, but in this save, he's one of the senior players in the squad. I don't know where he sits on the hierarchy, presumably quite high up. Yeah, he's a highly influential player, and we can't go out and bring in a new highly influential player. We can't go in and bring in a new right winger, a new striker to replace him. He's got to stick around. So we've offered contract renewals to players we wouldn't ordinarily do that to. But more importantly, having done all of that, we've still got £14,000 a week of wage budget to play with, which is absolutely nuts. I have no idea how to do this properly in a youth development homegrown save. This could go really well, or it could go spectacularly poorly. I mean, if we have a look at the sort of players that we've got scouted, as usual, I've got the filter on to only show us the under 18s. We've got the scouts' opinions of what prices could be for these players as well. If we were to pick out this guy, Dante Baker, as an example, he's 17 years old. But for us to get him, it's going to cost us anywhere up to £375,000. We're now in a position where we could spend £375,000 on him. But the big question is, should we? Because he wouldn't go straight into the first team. That's an extraordinary amount of money for a player who's not going to go straight into the first team. And his potential is not necessarily any better than Marco Wentin, who we got in on a free transfer. So part of me thinks we should still just be focusing on free transfers. But if they're hard to come by, we've got to pick some of these boys to throw some money at. And because our scouts aren't great, it's going to be difficult to work out who we should be throwing that money at. If we just have a look at the scouting team, I rarely show you this screen, but if we have a look at their mental attributes and their scouting abilities and whatnot, they're not great. But I think for a club of our size, the better ones that we've got are probably around about the level they should be for the club. If we have a look at how we fare against other teams at the level we're at currently, so in the National League, we've got the second best judging player potential and the second best judging player ability in the National League. Now, I'll see how these weigh up once we officially move over into being a League 2 club. But in the interest of realism, you know how much I'm a stickler for that. If we get promoted and we've still got like top 6 for our scouting team, I'm not going to go out and upgrade them, because I feel like it's just kind of, it's exploity as far as I'm concerned. We've already sort of naturally come up with a very, very good backroom staff as we've gone up through the leagues. We've stayed competitive by adding to it and sacking people when appropriate. But I don't want to just go out and get scouts with 18 judging player potential when we're in League Two, because I don't think it's realistic for us to do that. And I don't think they're the kind of staff who are going to apply for the job. I mean, we could put an advert out. Should we ask for some more scouts and then put an advert out for some scouts and see what kind of ability scouts apply? But I never go to the staff search screen and just go and get the best ones with the judging potential and all that kind of thing. So I don't like doing that. So I'm kind of tied to who's going to apply for it. And you know the kind of standard that's applied for us so far, because we obviously hire the best ones out of who applies. I don't know, when did we hire this guy? He came in 2021, so he's been here 3 years now. So actually, how long has it been since we've hired a scout? Stephen Wallace, 2021. Maybe the scouting team is due a refresh. Liam Watson came in last summer, and he would have been the best. So he would have been the best scout that applied for the job last summer, and he's got a 9 and an 8. So we're not going to have a huge upgrade on that scouting team. And by having iffy scouts, it means how much do we trust these scout reports, and how confident are we, for example, throwing maybe our entire transfer budget at Julian Hodgson? He might be fantastic, or he might be no better than what we've already got. And that's the fun and the shenanigans we're going to have in this video. But before we get into all of that, let's do our season review as ever. A season in which we won the non-league double, the National League and FA Trophy double. Lovely stuff. Signing of the year looks like that's gone to Tommy Jessup, which is interesting because he played, 12 games? I guess he played a lot of substitute appearances, but I think this is a good way to set your expectations for how this summer's likely to go. That's the kind of best signing we're likely to have most summers, because players aren't going to come straight into the first team. If we look at the players who came in last year, sort them by appearances, Stuart Cox, 42 appearances. Who the hell is Stuart Cox? Not for us, that's why. Hang about. Stuart Cox is a right back who got 14 goals for Gloucester in the league below us. That's interesting. But players who actually played for us, and not ones who are out on loan, if we sort by games actually played, Marco Wentin played more than anybody, 28 appearances. Frangos, 25 appearances. And that would have been less if we hadn't have had to get rid of Rodriguez. Wentin would have been less if we hadn't have had to get rid of Camara. Brewerton played 20 times, Hoyt 15 times. Nobody's come in and been a nailed-on starter. And I think that's where we have to set our expectations, be aware that that's how it's likely to be. We were expected to finish in the playoffs. We won the league. Our average home attendance is 339. And obviously we're going to get news this summer about what's happening with our new stadium, because theoretically we're moving into it, but it's not big enough for League Two. So I don't know if we're going to get a period of special dispensation while we increase the size of it, or if we're going to have to move on to another ground share. Hopefully we can move into our own ground. Troy Cannon finished as our top scorer, having done a Mick Powell midway through the season. I'm expecting big things from Troy Cannon this coming season. Financially, things are looking very good. The Kieran Hodgkinson money from last summer is still providing oodles of spondoolies for us. Yeah, that's right. Oodles of spondoolies. But we are increasing things like sponsorship, broadcast revenue, corporate, all that kind of stuff. The further up the leagues we go, the more this is all going to increase. Even competition prize money is starting to increase as well. We still don't sell much in the way of football shirts, which is a little bit sad, but fingers crossed at some point we will. And this was our team of the year. So Wright in goal, probably doing a cartwheel. A back four of Frangos, Charles, Davies and Hoyt. Hamilton, Cisse, Curry and Whittaker in midfield, and then Pritchard and Cannon up front. I don't know that I ever picked that combination of 11 players. That's it's quite interesting. That's the team of the year. Fans Player of the Year, as usual, Harrison Davies. He also won Young Player of the Year. It's hard to believe that boy is still only 20 years old. He's increased his own record for most league appearances for the club, 127 appearances for us now. Tommy Jessup, as we mentioned before, got signing of the season. Goal of the season went to Micah Beerith. Top scorer, Troy Cannon, through the youth system. Most assists, Nathan Curry, through the youth system. Most man of the matches, Harrison Davies, came through the youth system. This is all positive stuff. Davies got highest average rating as well. And then we also broke a couple of club records this season. Zach Redmond, our highest transfer fee paid at £5,500. We're breaking that record again today, I am sure of it. And Micah Beerith, the fastest goal in the history of home at 47 seconds. Let's finish that off. Let's see if we get any news about the stadium in here. I would be expecting that relatively quickly. This is the club expectations for next season. So Mrs Wearmouth still looking for us to sign players to sell for a profit and work within a budget. I can live with that, I guess. Sign high reputation players. I need to try and negotiate that out because we're only signing kids. We can't sign high reputation players. I don't mind signing players to sell on for a profit. We're not going to be able to sign high profile players. She needs to accept that. She wants a minimum playoff finish this year. The woman is so demanding. And as a minimum, within 2 years, automatic promotion to League One, and then be an established or top half team in League One within 5 years. There you go. She's agreed to take off the high reputation thing, which is good. Micah Beereth is our one and only team leader, which I find really interesting because he's not really a regular starter for us anymore, but we might have to... That's the problem. If we get someone who's a team leader who ends up not being a regular starter, we might actually have to move someone on we wouldn't have wanted to ordinarily, because the last thing we want is a grumpy team leader. Right, where can we say about playoffs? Does it so there you go. You've done brilliant. Yeah, there you go. We're going to make it to the playoffs. Shay Charles is delighted. Lovely stuff. Go off and enjoy your summer, boys. We've got a normal season start time next season, I think, rather than having to start playing in October. You're going to have to be back ready to play in August, I think. Pre-season starts on the 24th of June. And apparently we're signing someone called Lomax, a fitness coach. This is obviously something Past Kev did last week. I think fitness coach actually was one of the areas we needed to strengthen. Yeah, fitness and goalkeeping were our weaknesses. So it looks like Past Kev knew his onions last week. Are we getting no stadium news here? Oh, we have got the option to increase the number of scouts. So one more. So at least we can now put an advert out. And if we get a much better standard than the ones we've got, we can sack a few and put out some more adverts, I guess. So that's an advert for scouts going out. And now we're kind of just waiting. I don't think I'm going to go out and spend a lot of money early in the summer. I think, as usual, I'm going to wait until the 1st of July, see what we can pick up then. And then from there, try and fill any gaps we might have in the squad with the money. I know a couple of people have asked recently about bringing players in on loan. It's not really an option for us. The only way we could bring someone in on loan is if we were guaranteed they could become homegrown at club. So it would have to be a 3-year loan for an 18-year-old with a future fee attached. And I don't think that's going to happen. So there's not going to be any loans coming in unless it's Bacharek Piteta and or Kieran Hodgkinson, who will try and get both of them back this summer, because Slam Dunk as well falls into that category, because all three of them are already homegrown at club, so they can come home. Lovely puns. Let's do some time travel. Well, we've immediately been hit with a big old pile of bad news. We've had to pay a load of tax, which isn't nice. Our new kit sponsorship is rubbish. Our new scouting budget's not spectacular. Worryingly, Mrs Wearmouth is now scaling down her financial backing of the club. She's, however, moved to assure everyone she'll continue to invest in the club, though not at previous levels. I mean, let's just have a little look to see how much Mrs Wearmouth has invested in the club. Obviously, she built the training ground, which was a big thing. But investments, we had 0 investments this season. All that last season. Oh, no, hold on. There was a £370,000 investment last season. So I guess what she might just be saying is there's not going to be an investment this summer, which is fine. We don't... Sugar plums, what's happened there? Where did that money just go? We had... We had £1.8 million. Where did the money go? What? What's just happened? Ground maintenance. Oh God, I know what's happened. This happened on my Twitch save last year. Right. Remember, our new ground that we were moving into had a 4,000 capacity. It's now got a 5,000 capacity. Because we got promoted, we've just spent an extra £2 million adding 1,000 seats to it with no announcement. I've not been told that's happened anywhere in here, but we figured this out on Twitch last year, and it's exactly the same thing has happened again. We've spent nearly £2 million making sure in a rush job emergency that our new ground is going to be big enough for us to move into. So we are going to be moving into the new ground. We need a name for it. We'll rename that. But yeah, 5,000 capacity. So at least we're going to be playing in our own ground. What we didn't need is 2 million quid to be whipped out of the club just like that. Because now, can I, in good conscience, go and spend £1 million when we're already overdrawn? Mrs Wearmouth, now is not the time for this. Our facilities have been downgraded as well. And now we no longer have the money to be able to push them back up again. We just spent it all on chairs, which does fit on brand for me. But yeah, we can't improve the youth facilities. So our youth facilities have now been downgraded to good. Right. Well, this just took a difficulty spike. Well, the 2 Premier League youngsters we were able to identify back when we get the email earlier in the season, they've both arrived. Ryan Nichols isn't anything special, is he? He's a striker, 1.5-star current ability, 3-star potential ability. I mean, can we just sling him in the bin now? He's no good to anybody. Andy Hall looks a little bit more promising. A left back, 2.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. He's actually coming in theoretically as the best left back at the club. So Andy Hall, Bachelor Ekpiteta allowing, might well be coming in to be our starting left back for next year as things stand. Although obviously we want to bring back our old boy if we can. There's offers coming in for Matt Muir. That's right. We have two Muirs now. Because if not being able to say one of them wasn't bad enough, we have 2. We don't want to sell him though. He's they want him on loan. I'm not making decisions about loans this early in the summer because he might play. I don't know. Have I been a bit hasty there? Should we be loaning him out? No, I don't know. I'll decide. I'm not making decisions now. I'd already made the decision not to make a decision. Right, we've had a scout report through on this guy. Again, do we spend the money? Probably not. I don't really know. He's too old, so we discard that. Just want the money back. It's ruined me. Well, there you go. There's the quality of the scouts. Worse than what we already had at the club. And Mrs Wearmouth has now decided we can't have one anyway. So stop that advert. We're not upgrading the scouting team this summer. There is your confirmation that we have now moved into the home of football. I've renamed the ground as well. If you want to know how to rename your stadiums in Football Manager, I made a video on it last year here on the channel. I'll try and remember to link to it down in the description below. It's an FM20 tutorial, but it works exactly the same on FM21. I've just followed it to make this change now, so there's no point in re-recording the video. But it's the home of football, beautiful ground. It is the ground that's bankrupted us, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Well, we've had our fixture list through. We are actually starting in August like we're supposed to this year, so that element of the weird database has been fixed. We are, however, also still playing in the FA Trophy and having to enter the FA Cup in the 4th qualifying round. I'm hoping this is going to be a one-season thing and we're not going to have to play in the FA Trophy and qualify for the FA Cup forever. We'll monitor it. We can cope with it this season. Interestingly, I don't think we're in the League Cup. So, again, those of you who've played ahead on this database, is this how things are going to be for us? We're not in the Carabao Cup or the Checker Trade, Papa John's, whatever it is, trophy. We're in the FA Trophy. I think it's just going to be a one-season thing because I think this was decided. I think competition entries for this was decided before we'd moved over into the new league because the National League playoffs the playoff final only happened yesterday. So I don't think places in the Football League had been finalised by the time entries for the various cup competitions had happened. So I think it should just be a one-season thing. In fact, if we have a look at the FA Trophy, can we see what teams are in it? Yeah, it's only us and Chesterfield, so the ones who've just been promoted now. So I think it's going to be a one-season glitch where the newly promoted teams every year into the Football League, because of the mess up of the calendar dates, which is unavoidable. The Football Manager editor this year is a nightmare. But because of that, we're just going to have that issue this year. But next year, we should be out of the FA Trophy, going into the FA Cup in the first round, and we will enter the Papa John's Trophy and the Carabao Cup for the first time. If that doesn't happen, Not a lot we can do about it now, is there? Well, we've made it through to the 1st of July, so let's actually have a proper look at the squad. Let's see what we've got. We have actually loaned out a couple of these boys, so we're just going to drop them down into the under-23s to get them out of the way. So our first team squad, as it currently stands, 23 players, which seems about right. Let's see if we've got anybody down in the youth teams who needs to come up. John van der Laan still knocking around at the club. Probably never going to play for us again. He was out on loan at Woking last year. He's probably going to go out on loan again. He's not really good enough to be in the team, but he does still have lots of potential. So it'll be interesting to see if van der Laan ever does make it to a level where we can use him. But there's not really anyone pushing for that promotion up to the first team squad. They're all 2-star current ability as a maximum, which would put them right down at the base of the squad. I mean, if we need a player in a certain position, there's always players we can bring up and draft in. But really, we need to be trying to bring in players who are going to improve the position that they're in, if that's at all possible. If we have a look, filtering this by 3-star players, you can see there are certain areas of the pitch where we are a little light. Goalkeeper, left back, right midfield. We don't have anybody of a 3-star standard. We're blessed with many strikers. Beereth, Pritchard, Curry still show. I'm going, Curry's not a striker, obviously, but Cannon and Redmond are. So we've got 4 good strikers. I don't think we need to mess around up front. Left wing, we've got Hamilton and Redmond. That looks fine. Hamilton, interestingly, not showing on the central midfielders list as a 3-star player now, suggesting he is properly a winger for us now, which is what he was originally signed to do. Bandera and Curry in the middle. We're going to try and bring in Kieran Hodgkinson to make that 3. I don't know how likely that is to happen. And we definitely need a right midfielder. Although if we drop that down to 2 stars, Wentin and Whitaker both appear. So they're not disastrous. They can play out there if they have to. Left back, we're definitely going to try and bring in Bacharek Piteta on loan. We've got new boy Andy Hall and Campbell and Frangos who played there last year if we don't get him. Davis and Charles are just brilliant as ever. And we've got plenty of young options behind them, and then Charles and Curry can both play at right back, although really I don't want either of them to actually play at right back. So we're looking really at Cisse, Hoyt, Brewerton, and then in goal we've obviously got Wright and Beach like we have had for a number of years. So let's start things off firstly by trying to bring back the old boys. So if we start with Kieran Hodgkinson, let's see if we can get him on loan. No. Oh, let's start. How do you spell Bachelor Ekpiteta? So he was out on loan he's had spells at Carlisle. Oh no, he went to Carlisle. Yeah, he's back at Blackpool, who are now in League One. Do they want to loan him out? Right. Fingers crossed. We're bringing Tom Bachelor Ekpiteta home to be our left back. And then let's also see if we can get Slam Dunk back in, who's now in Kilmarnock reserves. He's on the transfer list, actually. I wonder if we could just buy him rather than loaning him back. Let's just bring Slam Dunk home permanently. See if he actually wants to come and rejoin us. So aside from that, we're obviously going to offer trials to anybody who we've previously scouted who is 18 and no longer attached to a club. I'm just filtering through these. So there's hopefully going to be a few of those if we do this for not expired, unattached. Well, I think they're basically the same thing on the 1st of July. But all of these guys are going to come in on trial. As you can see from the scout recommendations, most of them are absolute trash. We'll then have a look to see what we can spend this £1 million on that we've got lying around. I mean, Connor O'Connor, firstly, great name. Secondly, is a position we need to strengthen. How much is he going to cost, though? £200,000. It's an extraordinary amount of money for us to want to spend. And we have to make the decision relatively quickly as well because he turns 19 in August. But he would be the best right midfielder at the club. But can we justify spending £200,000 on any one player? That's the conundrum I'm going to have all summer long. Well, Slam Dunk might not be happening. The offer was accepted, but he wanted to be made captain. He made all sorts of other demands. Never mind the fact that once we got through there, it said he wanted £5,000 a week in wages. Let's see if we can just take him on loan. What a silly goose he is. I mean, even that's a lot of money, but because he's Slam Dunk, we'll make the offer. We'll offer him that and see if we can get him back into the fray. Van der Laan, look, he's probably going to be going out in the opposite direction, so that covers some of Slam Dunk's wages. If we make Van der Laan needs to just leave. We had a word with the director of football. He didn't recommend a single player who was 18 or under. So that route of bringing in players is gone. And now we're just trying to bring in all of these other trialists. I suspect these are mostly going to be rubbish. So my next plan, which for those of you who watch all of my stuff, is something I would never dream of doing in non-League to Legend. But I think circumstances dictate in a save like this that we have to do this. Not Arsenal, Arsenal, alphabetically first team in the Premier League. We are going to just go through and look at the players released by Premier League clubs and offer trials to all of them. So youth, they haven't released anybody. They're the youth players that have been released, aren't they? Oh no, but they're a little bit older. What's going on? We'll figure that out and we'll make some offers for youth players. Worry not. Well, transfers are in and we have just spent more money than I ever anticipated spending at a League Two club. £650,000 spent. We'll start with the big headline, though. Tom Bachelor-Ekpiteta is home. He's back on loan for the season. His contract with Blackpool has another year to run after this. He's currently got an active relegation release clause at £500,000. We're not spending £500,000 on a player they bought off us for £23,000. But he's still showing us having championship potential. We can't pay between £2 and £4 million for him, but we will definitely be keeping an eye on when his contract renewal comes up. And if the time comes when we're in the championship and we can afford that kind of fee, he is a homegrown player. We will forever be trying to get Tom Bachelor-Ekpiteta back involved, but he is back involved this year. We then brought in a bunch of free transfer players. I'll go through them very quickly. As ever, if you want to see them in more detail, just pause, have a look at their attributes. But I'm just going to show you them very briefly because they're unlikely to be involved this year. This is us filling up the youth team again. So Simon Baldwin has got 1-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. He's in from Burnley. Andy Black is a bit of a utility player, 1.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. He is in from Leeds. Ian Barnett is, by the way, take all these star ratings with a pinch of salt. It's the Harrison Davies effect because he's so good. It pushes down all the star ratings. So these 4-star ratings, if Davies left, would immediately go up to 5, I am certain. Ian Barnett's a 1.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability player in from Brighton. Ruben Toro is an 18-year-old Venezuelan under-21 international who has English as a second nationality, thankfully. We're not getting ourselves in that pickle again. He's got 2-star current ability, 3-star potential ability, and he's in from Manchester City. Carlos Cassiani is an 18-year-old right back or left wing back. Weird stuff going on there. You can use either foot, though. 1-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. He's in from Arsenal. Jack Vigar is an 18-year-old centre-back, 2-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, who came in from Southampton. And then the last one of the free transfers is Georgios Nikolaou, who's an 18-year-old Cypriot under-21 international, 1.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, and he is in also from Arsenal. We then went and spent some money. We basically bought the best under-18 players. I kind of set myself a limit of £250,000 per player. I didn't want to go crazy with this. So there are some better options out there, but we didn't want to go absolutely nuts with it. So John Allen is an 18-year-old centre-back or right-back or central midfielder. Probably looking at him being right-back for us. That's where we've played him in the first friendly he's played in. Could end up being at centre-back, though, but obviously he's got to get past Davies and Shea Charles to get in at centre-back, whereas right-back's a little bit easier for him to force his way into the team. He's got 2.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, and we signed him from Chesterfield, who apparently he's already played a League Two game for. He hasn't. That was the National League playoff final. The game is broken. Chris Orr is in from Derry. He is another centre-back who can play full-back, 6'2". He's 2-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, Northern Irish under-19 international who's had time out on loan at various clubs in Ireland and Northern Ireland over the last couple of years. Jean-Marc Chaput is an 18-year-old French winger who can play on the right-hand side, left-hand side. He can play up front. This is the kind of player who might encourage me to switch to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. Finally abandon my beloved 4-4-2 that we've been using all the way through so far. He's got 1.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. He is in from Watford. All of these players, none of them are kind of walking straight into the first team kind of players, but they're good youngsters who hopefully we won't regret spending a little bit of money on. Geraldo Popon is an 18-year-old Dutch midfield player. I'm checking now that he's got an English passport. He has. He's a 2-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability midfielder in from Bristol City for our new record signing of £215,000. And then Royston Priest is another defender. We're stacking up on these defenders. These were the best players that we could find. If we can retrain some of them into other positions as well, we will. We can't be too fussy. You saw what we did with Terrell Whitaker. Can you hear Dave snoring, by the way, down on the floor? What a disgraceful animal. But yeah, if some of these have to become holding midfield players or even central midfield players, then so be it. At the moment, we're just trying to get in talented youngsters. We'll worry about finding a way to get them in the team and finding them a position later. It's a very different transfer policy to what I usually do. But 1.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. He's in from Ipswich. He was at Brighton, then at Ipswich, was on loan at St Albans last year, and has now joined us. And then lastly, we went for him. Connor O'Connor, the best name we've had since Danny Daniel, is a right winger or left back. 18 years old, 2.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. He actually might be a starter for us on that right-hand side of midfield. He played a couple of times for Walsall in the Championship last year, and he comes in for the bargain price of £75,000. So money-wise, we're now £1 million in debt after all of that. We do have a little bit of transfer budget left, but I don't feel the need to go and spend it. We've got loads of wage budget left, but again, I don't feel the need to go and spend it. We missed out on Slam Dunk. It looks like he's going to Coventry, and Kieran Hodgkinson is still unavailable for loan. We will still continue to try for him throughout the summer. If we drop this down to 2-star ability players, you can see some of those new boys are sort of in the mix on here. He says, not being able to see any of them. I think they're probably all sat in the under-23s at the moment. We won't worry about that too much for now. We'll fix that in a minute, because the other thing I wanted to show you quickly is the season preview. Now we've done those transfers. I think we were predicted about 6th before, but with the transfers, we are now predicted to go up as champions. I would be surprised if it happened, but we do have the best player in the division, Harrison Davies. He's in the Media Dream 11. He is the key player in the entire division. The fact we've still got him is remarkable. It's just the fact he loves the club. He is our captain. He will be our captain forever. And hopefully he'll never, ever, 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 ever leave. Cut to us selling him for £13,000, having just spent all that money on players not as good as him. I can see it happening now. That'll be the twist this summer. Oh, goody. Love a twist. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Slam Dunk is home. We're paying him so much money, and he doesn't even look any good anymore. This is just really to come in as a team leader. It'd be our 4th choice left winger, left midfield 3rd choice. I'm still going to play him because he's Slam Dunk and he's brilliant. Look at the state of these assists. He's everyone else who is in these teams is still here. Yes, he's 31 years old now, but Slam Dunk is home. Hopefully for good. He's only in on loan for now. Hopefully he'll come back permanently with us next summer. I'd love to have him as part of the backroom staff at some point as well. That's got to be the long-term plan. We've only got 5 players who actually need registering for this squad, so we're just going to have to register a bunch of kids who don't need registering to get to the minimum number of 15 players registered. But yeah, Slam Dunk is home, and let's have a look. Yeah, slots in lovely on that left-hand side. I'm happy now. We've got Slam Dunk back. We have made another signing, but he's forever going to go down as one of the villains of the save. He's a decent enough player, Ali Wilson. He's in from Queen's Park, £55,000, 2-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. He's a defensive midfielder who can also play central midfield. But I pressed the wrong button when giving him his face, and it's regenerated everyone else's faces. So Harrison Davies has had a haircut. He's lost that terrible fringe that he had for so long, and everyone else's faces have changed a little bit as well. So, yeah, Andy Hall still doesn't have a face because he's gone out on loan probably. That's probably why he doesn't have a face. But, yeah, everyone's got a new face. Troy Cannon. I mean, he looked better before. It's a disaster. That's Danny Pritchard, apparently. He's aged 15 years. You got to be careful when you're pressing the button. See, he's still got his real face. You got to be careful that you don't accidentally regenerate the players, because otherwise you end up in a world of disaster. And I've got to learn everybody's faces again now. Rubbish. Few exciting developments on the home favoured personnel page. Harrison Davies has become a club legend at age 20. That's some impressive work. That shows just how good he is. I've made it onto the icons list with Slam Dunk, which I don't remember the last time I made it out of favoured personnel. And even Mrs Wearmouth's made an appearance. Mrs Wearmouth has made it onto the favoured personnel list. So it's like a gang of good buddies making their way up through the favoured personnel list together. Me and Harrison and Slam and Mrs Wearmouth. We're having a lovely time. Well, it turns out we're in the Papa John's after all. We've been drawn and it's just appeared on my competitions page. It wasn't there before. I showed you this before. The other two are still broken and we're still not in the Carabao Cup, but we are in the Papa John's and that's the important thing. No Premier League team, under 23 team in there with us either. Suggests further brokenness. And that brings us to the end of the summer. Something very exciting. If I can, is there a way to get back to it now? That's likely to be the team for the start of the new season. I've gone past this page. We've sold 4,500 tickets. Bearing in mind, if you have a look at what our average attendance, ignore that we're insecure now, ignore that. Our average attendance over the last however many years, 135, 129, 301, 339. The home fans are loving being back home. I don't know if it's just because it's the first match at a new ground, but if we've suddenly added another 4,000 fans this summer, we'll have a bit of that. We'll be getting bigger attendances than Peterborough down the road. And we will be playing our first game of the new season against Grimsby tomorrow with a team in which I don't think I've ever had a first day of the new season when nobody's making their debut before. But that's what's happening tomorrow. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.